Module 4 is our final video on finance, and in this module we're going to talk about loans. So you borrow money to buy a house, you borrow money to buy a car. These are the kinds of loans we'll be talking about. So we'll be beginning by looking at an example and the symbols that we'll be using. These are pretty similar to the symbols we used in our last module on annuities. And then we'll look at the formulas, the kinds of calculations we want to do, and the formulas that are used in those calculations. And then we'll look at some more examples to see exactly how the formulas are used. And then there is a final section where we see why the formulas work. So here's the first example. We're assuming in this example that you borrow $150,000 from a mortgage company to buy a house. And the mortgage company charges 4% annual interest compounded monthly. And you are going to make equal monthly payments at the end of each month over a period of 25 years to pay off the loan. So this is a 25-year mortgage. And you want to know what your monthly payments will be. So here are the symbols that we'll be using. P, capital P, will be the amount of the loan. That's sort of the starting value. In our example, P is $150,000. Capital A is the amount that you still owe. So A will change over time as you make payments. In our example, A starts at $150,000 and ends at $0 when the loan is finally paid off. R is the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal, same as it was when we were discussing annuities. In this example that we're looking at, R is 0.04 because the annual interest is 4%. T is the time period of the loan in years. Same symbol we've used in past modules for the time in years. And the T is 25 in the example that we're looking at. PMT is your monthly payment. This is what we want to calculate in the example. So we will always be assuming that interest is compounded monthly and that payments are made monthly, just like we did with annuities. So there are four calculations that we will be doing. The first is, given the loan amount, like the $150,000 in the example, and the interest rate, and the time to repay, we might want to calculate your monthly payment. So this is what the first example looks like. Another possibility is if we know the monthly payment that you can afford and the time to repay, the time period of the loan, that is, and if we know the annual interest, we might want to find the amount that you can afford to borrow. Something like this might happen if you were planning on borrowing money to buy a car. We might want to find the total amount of money that you paid back. So as we'll see in this first example, if the loan amount is $150,000, by the time you're done paying back with interest, you will have paid back more than $150,000. We want to find that amount. And then it's also possible that you would want to find the total amount of interest that you paid over the life of the loan. And so here are the formulas for doing those four calculations. Given the amount of the loan, so given capital P, and the interest rate and the time period of the loan, this is the formula for finding the monthly payment. It's a little messy. If you're doing this on a calculator or on the Desmos online graphing calculator, you can pretty much enter things just as they are written here. Make sure you include all the parentheses, especially if you're in doubt. So we'll be using this formula in examples in just a few minutes. To find the amount you can borrow, capital P. Here's the formula for doing that. So to get formula number 2, we actually just solved formula number 1 for P. Right? We multiplied both sides by this denominator, and we divided both sides by this multiplier, which gave us this formula for capital P. Okay, the total amount of money you paid back is a fairly easy thing to calculate once you know how much you're paying per month. So PMT is your monthly payment, and you simply multiply that by the number of months. So T years at 12 months a year, multiplying 12 times the time in years gives you the total number of months. Multiplying that by your monthly payment gives you the total amount of money you paid back. And then to calculate the total interest, you simply take the total amount of money you paid back and subtract the amount of the loan. The total amount of money you paid back, as we saw in Formula 3, is your payment times the number of years. 12 times T is the number of years. And then you subtract the amount of the loan. When in doubt, put in all the parentheses in these formulas. So let's go to our example. P, the amount of the loan for your house, was $150,000. This was a 25-year loan, so T is 25. The annual interest is 4%, R is 0.04. And now I've simply plugged those numbers into this formula for the payment. So P is replaced by 150,000, R by 0.04, and T by 25. I did this calculation actually on a spreadsheet and ended up with $791.76 will be your monthly payment for this loan to buy a house. Well, let's calculate how much money you will have paid back altogether when the loan is finally paid off. So, as we saw, this is your monthly payment times the number of months you paid. The monthly payment is PMT, and you get the number of months you paid by multiplying 12 by the number of years. On the previous slide, we calculated the monthly payment to be $791.76 times 12 times 25 is $237,526.58 you will have paid back over the life of the loan. And how much of that is interest? Well, the total interest paid is the total amount you paid minus what you borrowed. This is the formula for total interest that we saw earlier. So I'm simply replacing PMT by 791.76, T by 25, and subtracting capital P, the initial loan. Over the life of the loan, you paid $87,526.58 in interest. So I'm doing these calculations on a spreadsheet, as I said earlier. And later in the video, I'm going to show you the spreadsheet and show you how you can also use a spreadsheet. Right, I'll make a copy of the spreadsheet available for you. You can copy it and use it to do your homework and the skills quizzes. This will be, I believe this will be a big time saver. Okay, so let's try an example where we are finding the amount of money that you can borrow if you know what the monthly payment is that you can afford. So Herb needs to borrow money to buy a car, and he's going to get a 3-year auto loan at 7% annual interest, compounded monthly. And what he figures is that he can afford $300 per month for his car payments. So how much can he borrow if he can afford $300 a month? Well, we have a formula for doing that. It's the formula for capital P. Capital P is the amount of the loan, and so we want to know what capital P is if the loan is for 3 years, the interest rate is 7%, and you can afford to pay $300 per month. So we're plugging into the formula for P, replacing PMT by 300, R by 0.07, and T by 3, which I did here. And again, I did this calculation on a spreadsheet and got $9,715.94. This is what Herb can afford for the price of his car. Okay, now suppose Herb finds a car for exactly that price. Maybe he bargained with a used car dealer and got a price of $9,715.94. How much money will he end up paying altogether? Well, as we know, the total amount of money paid is the monthly payment times the number of payments. Payment times 12 times T. The monthly payment is 300. T is 3. So Herb will end up paying $10,800 altogether when his auto loan is finally paid off. And how much of that will be interest? If he buys this car costing $9,715.94. Well, the total interest is the amount you paid back minus the amount you borrowed. I've plugged in the numbers again here. 300 is the monthly payment, 3 is the time in years, and here is the amount of the loan. Doing the subtraction gives us $1,084.06. This is the amount of interest that Herb paid over the life of the 3-year loan. And now the rest of the slides consist of an explanation of why the formulas work. So I think rather than go through that part of the slides in the video, I will look at doing the calculations on a spreadsheet. And here's the spreadsheet that I'm suggesting that you use. So I'm going to go through a brief demonstration. The first thing to notice is that this spreadsheet is divided into two parts. The first part, which consists of rows 1 through 7, is for doing the calculations if you want to find your monthly payment. So this will be like that example we just did where we were borrowing $150,000 to buy a house. Okay, so in row 4 you enter the known values. The loan payment I've already entered was $150,000. The annual interest expressed as a decimal is 0.04, and the time in years was 25. So I simply entered those numbers. And here in cell E5, the amount of your monthly payment appears. PMT is $791.76. If I click on that cell, I see here in this second row from the top, that's what's actually entered in that cell, is the formula for calculating PMT. Of course, P has been replaced by B4 because that's where the value of P is stored. R has been replaced by C4, and T has been replaced by D4. The total amount of money that you paid back is calculated here in cell F7 automatically. So if I click on that cell, I see that what is entered there is actually the formula for the total amount of money you paid. And finally, the total interest is calculated here in cell G7. I click on G7, I see the formula for total interest. The second half of the spreadsheet is to be used when you want to find the amount of a loan you can afford. So this would be like the problem we did a few minutes ago where Herb was buying a car and could afford $300 a month. So this works in a similar way to the top half of the spreadsheet. In row 13, you enter the known values. Here in cell C13, the annual interest, D13, the time in years, and in E13, the monthly payments. So I have entered those numbers here. And then the amount of the loan is automatically calculated here in cell B16. So if I click on cell B16, I see that what is actually in that cell is the formula for capital P. Of course, R is replaced by C13, T is replaced by D13, and PMT is replaced by E13 in the formula. And as in the top half of the spreadsheet, the total payments are calculated automatically here, and the total interest is calculated automatically in cell G16. If I make a change in these three values in row 13, the three values in row 16 will also change. So for example, if we can afford $400 per month, then we can afford to borrow $12,954.59. So I am including a link to the spreadsheet in Module 4. So when you go to the Canvas course page, click on Modules. In Module 4 you will see a link to the spreadsheet, which you can click on and download to your computer. Any spreadsheet program should be able to open that loan file. And in particular, I want to show you how to upload it to Google Sheets once you have it on your computer. So here is what my Google Sheets page looks like. This is Sheets Home, and now I would like to upload the loan spreadsheet. It's called amortization. Okay, so here in this row that begins with previous 7 days on the far right is a folder which I want to click on. And now in the window that opens, I have several options in the second line from the top, and the one I want to choose is Upload. So this gives me a window where I can drag and drop the amortization spreadsheet, or if I click on this blue box, I can go to the place on my computer where the file is stored and upload the file by clicking Open. And now the file appears here in Google Sheets, and it's ready for me to do calculations.